Hello everybody, my name is and the chemical compound that I chose to do my research on and really study deeper was sodium chloride, or NaCl. So first off, I would like to start with a verse that I found to be very relevant given the subject that I decided to study. And that verse is Colossians 4, verse 6. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. Alright, with that aside, let's get into how sodium chloride was discovered according to the scientific method. So, the person who discovered or founded sodium chloride was Sir Humphrey Davy. I found a quote from him which I found to be very interesting, and that quote is, "Nothing is so fatal to the progress of the human mind as to suppose that our views of science are ultimate, that there are no mysteries in nature, that our triumphs are complete, and that there are no new worlds to conquer." So, for the first step of the scientific method, making the observations, Humphrey Davy was experimenting with electrolysis and had previously found many new compounds in the solutions he had used. He was curious to see if he could find any more elements in the saline solution that he had used in many of his previous experiments. So, on to forming the hypothesis. Humphrey Davy proposed that he could use electrolysis to figure out if the saline solution he used would have multiple elements comprised in it instead of being a solution that had a chemical makeup of one element, like previous scientists had thought. For the third step, conducting the experiment, Humphrey Davy's experiments proved to be successful in separating sodium and chlorine items from the saline solution through electrolysis. Now on to accepting or rejecting his hypothesis. Humphrey Davy was pleased to find that his hypothesis was correct in the fact that there were multiple different ions in the saline solution. So, for the last step, making the conclusion and/or theory, the conclusion was made that through electrolysis, sodium, Na, and chlorine, Cl, were the main components that made up the saltiness of the saline solution that was used. Now, on to the chemical properties of sodium chloride. The compound title, which has been said many times in this video, is sodium chloride. The chemical formula for the compound is NaCl. The weight of the compound we have used is 58.443. The color of the compound in the pure form of it is white. It's a crystalline form. The melting point of the compound is 801 degrees Celsius, and the boiling point of the compound is 1,465 degrees Celsius, so in other words, very, very hot. Now, moving on to the reactivity of sodium chloride. So, sodium chloride is typically unreactive, but it will release a gaseous form of hydrogen chloride when combined with a non-volatile concentration of some acids. Underneath this fact, we find our balanced chemical equation for sodium chloride. So 2Na, which is sodium, in the solid form, plus 2 atoms of chlorine in the solid form as well, will result in 2 molecules of sodium chloride also in the solid form. Moving on to the solubility of sodium chloride. So it is soluble in water and glycerol. However, it's only slightly soluble in alcohols and insoluble in hydrochloric acid. Lastly, the applications and uses of sodium chloride. So sodium chloride is most well known as a table salt, and it is used in many solutions. And lastly, a large quantity of IVs at the hospitals are made of at least some parts of sodium chloride, which also can relate to the saline solution that we found that Humphrey Davy had figured out. Alright, well, I hope this video was helpful to you in learning about sodium chloride, and I appreciate you taking your time and watching this. Thank you very much.